Good morning. Today is the feast day of the presentation of the Lord, also known as the feast day of the purification of the Blessed Virgin Mary. After 40 days from the birth of Christ, the Holy Family goes to Jerusalem to present Jesus in the temple, and also it's marking the 40 days since Mary has given birth and that she's deemed clean and worthy to enter back into the temple. And so this is a very important feast to us because it recognizes the manifestation of Christ to the world. Right? We had the Feast of the Epiphany, and on the Epiphany we recognize that manifestation to the Gentiles, but it's just to the three. At this point, at the presentation, Jesus is made manifest as a light for revelation to the Gentiles and glory for your people Israel. And so we have this beautiful image of Simeon. Simeon is this old man, righteous and devout, and he's been living and waiting to see the Messiah. And the Lord grants him the ability to see the Messiah before he dies. And so basically, Simeon has been waiting. He's been waiting to see the Messiah, and once he does see him, he goes on. There's this beautiful canticle that he proclaims that in the Liturgy of the Hours, the breviary, is part of Compline, the night prayer, the last prayer that we pray before we go to bed. It says, "Now, Master, you may let your servant go in peace according to your word, for my eyes have seen your salvation." It's interesting that we pray that prayer as our last prayer of the day before we go to bed, because it's saying, okay, Lord, I've seen God, and so if it's time, it's time. Matt, was that your cell phone or your other thing? If it was your other thing, then you have an excuse, but I thought you were in Florida. Where's Colleen?
In Florida. Yeah.
With Sally and Art? You have to stay here? Just because you're sitting on that side doesn't mean I'm not going to pick on you. Anyway, I know, I'm always picking on you. But really, the Canticle of Simeon is a beautiful prayer. It's saying, Lord, I've seen your face. What more is there to want? What more is there to desire? I've recognized you. I've encountered you. I've come to believe. I'm ready to see you. And it's a beautiful prayer that we ought to be able to say without fear. When we were kids, we said, "Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take." It's like a morbid prayer for a kid to pray, right? If we think about the words, it's like, okay, I'm going to go to bed, and if I don't wake up, I pray that God takes me. But that's a beautiful prayer to be able to say. It's a prayer that all of us ought to be comfortable with, right? Praying for a happy death, asking St. Joseph, he's the patron of a happy death, of being able to die in peace, of being able to die in the graces of God. And so we recognize that as Jesus Christ is presented to the world, he's presented to the nations, he's presented to the Gentiles, and to the glory of his people Israel, he presents to us that death no longer has any sting. Death has been conquered. Death has lost its power, because through death we come to life. Right? In dying, our life does not end, it changes. And so we recognize that God is calling each and every one of us to faithfully follow after him, to desire holiness, to prepare ourselves to meet him for eternity.